It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview Clarkson's Golden Knights head strength and conditioning coach, Coach Tad Johnson. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in working in college athletics?
I grew up just loving sports, playing sports. I was the youngest of five kids, and we just played all the time. Always competitions going on. And once I got to college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was looking at fitness and business, and then I met the strength coach, and he needed an intern my sophomore year. And day one, I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever done. I want to be a strength coach. Just fell in love with it right away.
Of course, what was your experience like getting to study and going to Northern State?
Uh, it was very cold. I'm from South Dakota, but Aberdeen, South Dakota is just like a whole nother level of cold. But it was good. I started in fitness management, and then that program dissolved. It was like a husband and wife professors who were teaching it, and then they moved on. And so you either had to choose business or health sciences, and I ended up choosing human performance. And once I started studying physiology and anatomy and applied kinesiology, I loved it. I love studying the human body. And then the internship in the weight room with the strength coach was like sealing the deal. It was great. A lot of fun. Northern State's a great school. It is very athletics oriented. They have phenomenal homecomings, like football homecoming, basketball homecoming, are just like outstanding and wild. And when I meet another Northern State grad, we usually talk about Gypsy Days and I Hate Winter, which are those homecomings.
Of course, what was it like getting to go to University of Minnesota to become the assistant strength and conditioning coach?
It was a big transition. So I kind of I went to a private facility first, and then I went up to the University of Minnesota to intern, and a long path of running a high school program, working at a YMCA, personal training, interning at the university, and starting my master's led me to getting hired. And then once I got hired, it was awesome. I had amazing athletes to work with, unbelievable talent, not only in men's and women's hockey, but track and field, baseball, swimming and diving, and golf. Just tons of talent, tons of great mentors. We had, 10 strength coaches there at the time when I was there to learn from. Cal Dietz was my boss. He's just a phenomenal strength coach, one of the best in the industry. So it was good. I'm not a city person. I'm from South Dakota, small town. So the city was a bit overwhelming. I searched for a long time to find an apartment by a cornfield, and I finally found one near the Ag Center of the University of Minnesota. But just lots of people to learn from, amazing athletes, the buy-in, the approach to getting better was just a whole nother level from Northern State to Minnesota at the Big Ten.
Of course, during your time at Minnesota, what was it like getting to work with the women's ice hockey and the men's ice hockey team?
It was great. Like their dedication and commitment to excellence, to getting better in the gym, on the ice was phenomenal. It really opened my eyes to how hard athletes can work, how smart they can work, when you give them the right training plan, the right information, and the right resources. Um, it was something special. I think I was hired at the in January, and the women won a national championship, and then the next year they went undefeated, perfect season. Just to see that dedication and that focus, even in like the kind of fluff games, was amazing. That they were always dialed in, always competing. The men had a Frozen Four and won I think it was their last WCHA championship. They just complete dedication to getting better was phenomenal.
Of course, as you talk about the Frozen Four and the national championships, what was that like being a part of those teams that went to that to help them to as a strength and conditioning coach?
It was great. So everything there with hockey is umbrellaed under Cal Dietz. He was the associate head strength and conditioning coach. I don't know his full title, but he oversees hockey and track and field and baseball and golf and swimming. When I was there, I think he just does hockey now, but to learn from him was phenomenal. He has a couple books out. He has a website that he does on speaking tours. Like he's paving progression in the field, and to just learn from him and see how he approaches training and how he works with the men's women's hockey players and be involved in that really helped me become prepared to take my next steps as becoming the head strength coach at Clarkson.
Of course, what were some of the things that you learned as the assistant strength and conditioning coach at Minnesota to then help you to become the head coach as strength and conditioning at Clarkson?
Yeah. Outside of just like what hard work looks like and how to hold athletes accountable to being successful, building a training philosophy, a training program style that is adaptable. Like coaches, your men's coach, your women's coach play different systems, play the game a different way. The athletes need different things in terms of conditioning or strength development. So building a system that can accommodate those differences and be applied so that you're not trying to run multiple systems was one of the biggest takeaways. Like you got to be efficient and manage your time and have a philosophy and idea set that can be implemented anywhere. Just the volume of the different ideas changes. So like one of our teams requires more strength work, and the other team requires more conditioning work based on the way they play, things like that. But they still follow the same principles in their strength development or in their conditioning development. It's just the amount of it is different. So learning that from Minnesota really prepared me for my next step.
What was that feeling like getting to become the head strength and conditioning coach at Clarkson University?
It was a little scary. I was 25 when I got hired, just turning 26. I think one of my men's seniors was maybe 6 months younger than me. So it was a little nerve wracking. It was a bit of a shock going from the Big Ten and the finances and facilities and resources and size of the area to the ECAC, a small town, small college, and the resources that they had. But since then, we've made big updates to our facilities. We got one of the nicest gyms in college hockey. But I think the shock was the initial, just the size and resources, transitioning from the Big Ten to the ECAC. And then just, it's on me. I was the head guy. I had to make decisions. There wasn't even an assistant strength coach here. It was just like show up and figure it out.
Of course, what is that like, obviously, getting to work with the men's ice hockey team and the women's ice hockey team?
It's great. We are, all in the same building, same hallway. Offices are right next to each other. We work very closely together. We have to manage, the schedule, the ice schedule, because we have one sheet of ice between the two. It's great. I've been with the head coaches for a decade now, so 10 years, and we've grown. Our kids have grown up together. I train our men's hockey. His kids, worked out with me. Our women's hockey coach, his kids are a little bit younger than mine, so they're in our speed camps and will join our strength camps when they age. So we're just close and we know each other well. Our families get along, which helps us, at work too, just being friends, having those relationships that we can count on each other for things. And then just the time together, the 10 years, we know what each other is going to do, how practices are going to go, what the heart rate system is going to look like after, after lift or after practice, and how to make adjustments when we falter from the plan, and how to progress the plan when we stick to it. So it's great. Our athletes have a hard academic schedule. They have a tough athletic schedule. They travel between games Friday and Saturday. So they'll finish a game, get on the bus, travel an hour, sometimes 2-3 hours to the next spot. So just learning how to manage that stuff, working with the coaches on best practices for those things, over the years has been good. But it's a great place to work. Great group of coaches to work with.
Can you talk about, of course, what it's like working with the men's and the women's ice hockey to bring and help build that culture for the national championship teams?
Culture-wise, it was kind of not to say easy, but I had immediate buy-in coming from the University of Minnesota. People or the athletes, trusted that I knew what I was doing because I'd been around high performance. I'd been around championship teams and programs. So the buy-in right away was great. And then just getting them to, as a group, trust each other, buy into each other, and know that, their line mate had put in the work to be successful, and so that they could count and rely on them. It took some time. We've worked with our ROTC, our former ROTC director on leadership development, Abram DeMarco. He, would take us on field trips down to Fort Drum to do training. He would take us on scavenger hunts, and he still does leadership development. Now that he's out of ROTC, he works with our men's team on leadership development. Our women's team uses Dr. Mark Randall. He's a local guy in the area. I think he works with UMass as well. Carvel, who was coaching at SLU, uses him. He's down at Mass now on their culture. And so we have some outside resources on that. But just it takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of dedication. So our coaches have to recruit the right type of players, the people with the right mindset, and then to be at a place that has a high academic standard as well. They have to be good students. They have to be organized. They have to be on top of that stuff, so that they can be successful in the classroom and on the ice.
What does a day in the life look like as a head strength and conditioning coach?
So it's depends on the day. Right now, I get up 5:45, and that's not to do anything related to strength and conditioning. That's to be with my kids. They have to go to school at 6:30. So get up 5:45, hang out with them, get them ready for the day, have some coffee, read my Bible and my devotion, just kind of get my mind right for the day, get them off to school or daycare, and then head to work. Mondays and Wednesdays in season are lift days. So we usually have a morning group or two, and then an afternoon group or two, depending on class schedules, and then practice. A lot of the time throughout the day is looking at heart rates from the previous practices or the previous games, and questionnaires from the night before. We send out questionnaires every night, just get an idea of how everybody's feeling mentally, physically, and kind of put together a little bit of a plan of what adjustments we might need to make to our practice plan with the coaches, or our heart rate load, or if there's no adjustments we need to make and there's just some individual things, it'll start conversations with our athletes. Hey, notice your sleep was off. Anything we can do to help? Anything stress wise? Notice your nutrition. You haven't been getting what you need to get nutrition wise. Can we help you with your meal plan? Things like that. But a lot of the time it's just dependent on the athlete's schedule. So like I said, Monday, Wednesdays are lifts. Tuesdays, we host an open gym. So there's opportunities to go out for skill development or come into the gym for speed development, extra conditioning work, core work. Some come in for like extra strength work. Some just come in for yoga. We set them up with like a little yoga app on our TVs in our gym, and just kind of just be there for what their needs are. That's kind of a specific needs day on Tuesday. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday is game prep, game day. They just have energy, be excited, make sure that, you know, the snacks, the nutrition, the meals are all set, ready to go. Make sure athletes are feeling good. If they need any extra soft tissue work, you know, take them through foam rolling or work with them to get into the training room for hot tubs, cold tubs, you know, norm attacks, anything like that. So that's kind of how the week goes. Off season, we train 5 days a week. We usually have like a game day, a competition day. We have like 3 lifts and then like a hard conditioning day. So just planning those out, trying to be creative so that they don't get bored with what we're doing.
Of course, with men's and women's ice hockey being so prevalently in injuries and trying to prevent injuries, what are some of the things that you do to help them when they do get injured to get back onto that ice?
So I work hand in hand with our athletic trainers who typically deal with like diagnosing and treating the injuries. First thing that we do is, you know, try to figure out how bad it is and what areas are all affected, and then come up with a plan to develop and continue to train the rest of the areas. So if they hurt an ankle, you know, how do we continue to develop, you know, the other leg, the upper body, the core conditioning, even like the quad and hamstring and glute of the injured ankle side. If it's a shoulder, you know, what can they do for holding weights or moving weights? Same thing. How do we continue to train, continue to develop around that injury so that when they're cleared for full go, they haven't lost conditioning, they haven't lost strength, they haven't lost speed. As much as possible, try to prevent that and work with our athletic trainers there. The nice part is, like I said, we renovated and updated our facilities. We have a phenomenal gym that allows us to train around injuries. Is very adaptable based on what the issue might be and find ways to work around it. And then our athletic training room has been updated as well with nice big cold tubs, hot tubs, you know, Normatex, massage guns, tables for them, everything. So our athletes are well taken care of if an injury does occur.
Of course, with working with the ice hockey team, what is that like, obviously getting them prepared to then make it to the professional level, whether it's the NHL or the PHL, PHF?
So yeah. A lot of time it's just education. Like you're not going to train the way we do at college. When you go to the professional level, you have a different travel schedule, you have more games, there's different rigors. So just educating them on like the reason we're doing things this way is because college is about development, like developing physically, developing your skill so that you're prepared for the next level. So we just talk about why we do things, educate them on body maintenance, soft tissue work, the importance of warm-ups and cool downs, sleep, nutrition, hydration as the number one recovery methods, or the top recovery methods. And then just trying to get a large foundation built for their physical development so that they don't lack anything when they're going to the next level. And we have to balance that all with skill development. Like at the end of the day, they're getting scholarships and they're getting contracts based on what they can do on the ice, not what they can do in the gym. So we have to make sure we manage those expectations. My expectations of, like, I love the gym. I want crazy strong guys and super fitness and all this stuff, but I have to leave energy on the table for them to go develop their skill. I can't take away from that. So monitoring that, managing that, and using the tools at our disposal to make sure that we're getting better physically, but all in the gym, but also on the ice.
Of course, how have you been able to balance your life as a strength and conditioning coach with your life outside of strength and conditioning on the college level?
Ooh, I really struggled with that when I first got here. When I first got into strength and conditioning, it was like, that was my life. And even though I got married and had kids, still the majority of my time or majority of my commitment was college athletics. You just felt like you owed it to the athletes. It wasn't really until COVID came along that I realized how much I was missing at home, and kind of changed perspectives and have really prioritized my time with my family. When I'm at work, when I'm at Clarkson, I'm all in. But when I leave, like, I put that phone down, I put that phone away. Athletes can get a hold of me later, or they can come see me at work. But when I'm home, I need to be involved with the kids. I need to be playing with them. I need to be taking them to their practices. I need to be talking to them about their day, reading books, before they go to bed. So it's been a big change since COVID, just being home and having meals with them. All of a sudden I realized, like, oh, my kids do notice that I'm at work a lot. And now that I'm home, they're happy that I'm here, and I need to be present and be with them. And Clarkson, it was never on Clarkson for that. It was on me and just my mindset about what I thought I needed to do to be successful. Clarkson's very family oriented, very family driven. My kids are welcome in the gym when athletes are working out. They're welcome to use the ice. They're fully welcome anywhere on campus. Our coaches are phenomenal. They have kids too, like our men's and women's head coaches. They'll take my kids on the ice and work with them and talk with them, and have them come in for a meal to talk with the athletes, and just make sure the athletes know we're parents also. We're husbands and wives and parents first and foremost, and then we're coaches. So COVID really made that adjustment for me personally, but Clarkson's always been that way, and it just took me some time to get that figured out. But we have a good balance now. My athletes love seeing my kids around the rink. I got a 13-year-old and I got a 6-year-old, so they kind of big age gap, but they get to do some different things with them, working on shooting in the shooting room or playing mini sticks on the turf. So that's kind of how we balance it. Is just had to make that commitment when I realized I was missing things, and then bringing them to the rink sometimes for my athletes to see that I'm also a dad.
Of course, what are some of the things that you learned now that you didn't know before becoming a head and strength and conditioning coach?
Ooh, less is more. I used to think like you just got to go hard, go all the time. And I did that a lot with my athletes, and it took me a while to figure out they don't love the gym as much as I love the gym. There's some that do, definitely, but not the majority of them. So when they're stressed with school and family and all these things are piling up, and it's getting to be what we call the dog days of winter, when you haven't seen the sun for a while. Less is more. Like, hey, these are the 3 things we need to focus on today. We're going to come in, we're going to be great at these, and then we're going to get out of here, because I know you don't want to see me anymore. So that was something that I've learned over the years, that, less is actually more sometimes.
Of course, what are some of your future plans as head strength and conditioning coach?
Win as many championships as possible. It's fun to win a championship. I think that's, every coach's goal. I've been fortunate enough to be with 5 national championship teams as a coach. I've won a national championship as a rugby player. That's a fun thing to do. Conference championships are great. Championships are fun. So just work to help my athletes with that. But I think the biggest thing is relationships. Just build relationships with the athletes, grow relationships. I have some athletes that are, 10 years out of being my athlete, and we're still in touch. We still talk about things. And just that's the future for me, is how do I better my relationships with the athletes who don't love the gym, and how do I win as many championships as possible?
What advice would you give those people that are looking to become strength and conditioning coaches on the collegiate level?
Outside of like getting a good education, learning from great people, networking, I'd say find the right significant other. If you don't have the right significant other, there's lots of challenges to the busyness and the schedule that there is with coaching. And it's a massive time commitment. So make sure that your significant other is aware of that and is bought in with you on that dream of working in college sports.
What advice would you give those people that are looking to become head strength and conditioning coaches for a program?
Learn to work with as many people as possible. You got a lot of different personalities in coaching. You have a lot of different types of athletes you deal with, coaches, athletic trainers, administrators. So be comfortable, know your philosophy, your training plan, and be comfortable talking with a lot of people about it. And then I'd say practice what you preach. Like, it's hard to take a strength coach seriously when he's talking to you about physical development or performance enhancement if he's not somewhat athletic. I know as you age and get older, it's harder to hang with the athletes. But being fit, practicing what you preach, eating healthy, prioritizing sleep, those types of things. You don't have to be a Division I athlete yourself, but just work on your athleticism, and maybe you'll get some more buy-in from your athletes. Because if you're trying to promote their athleticism, you have to be able to do some things athletically as well.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
Not on a lot of social media as a coach. We do have a Instagram account. It's Clarkson Strength and Conditioning. My assistant strength coach runs it. I'm not great at that. And just any Clarkson men's and women's hockey Instagrams accounts will have stuff up. But yeah, as far as Clarkson, that's about it. I have my own personal one. That's for me privately. And then I have a side business, but that's we're talking about Clarkson, so I won't throw that one out there.
Thank you again, Coach Tad Johnson, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as Clarkson's Golden Knights head strength and conditioning coach.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brand, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Tad Johnson, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thanks.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.